Two of the contenders in the Big East finish off one of the biggest weekends of the regular season as Marquette and St. John's go head-to-head this afternoon from Carnesecca Arena in Queens. Big results on Friday for these teams. Neither one went the right way as far as they're concerned. It dropped Marquette behind Butler. It dropped St. John's down into a tie with Creighton for 5th place in the 10-team Big East. Alongside Mike Watts courtside, I'm Jonathan Yardley. And Mike, what a weekend. Marquette and DePaul traveling to play St. John's and Seton Hall. I know you love it. What do you love about this matchup today?
Yeah, there's a lot of things to like. I mean, for one, the importance in the standings. If St. John's wins this game, tiebreakers null and void. And whether you slip into potentially a 7-game, the way things go, the rest of Big East play could all come down to a tiebreaker. Marquette could essentially run away from St. John's. Both coming off bad losses. Marquette didn't shoot the three well. St. John's didn't rebound well or finish layups. Something's got to give today. St.
John's blew a huge lead against DePaul on Friday, but as always, Quadasha Hoppe led the way offensively, lighting it up from deep.
Yeah, that's really the key. 4 of 6 to start the game from three-point land, and was crucial at significant points in that game. Late in the game, they relied on her maybe too much. The story of the game against Georgetown last Sunday, though, everyone pressed when she didn't play well. So if she plays well, great. If she doesn't, who supports her?
On the Marquette side, they have great confidence because of their win earlier in January when Selena Lott torched St. John's for 34.
And the vast majority of it came inside, but still 7 assists. I mean, you're talking about somebody who has size, which can cause St. John's problems. In a 4-guard lineup, you're talking about all players listed 5'10" or taller. That can be a real issue. Selena Lott can do it at all levels. Top 10 in the Big East in major categories across the board.
One of the biggest games on the Big East schedule for both teams, Marquette at St. John's. Tip-off comes your way from Carnesecca Arena right after this.
St. John's University is New York, through and through. While our roots may be here in the city, our Catholic and Vincentian influence is felt around the globe. Diverse, determined, and dedicated, our students graduate career-ready and primed to take on the challenges of tomorrow. We are New York's team. We are St. John.
Hallelujah.
And this is just one night. You should see what we do during the day. Marquette University. Be the difference.
We're all in, all together. Great voices right at the start, great energy. We're getting excited about what we do, all right? You know how together you are. You know how hard you're gonna work, but you also know how good you are. Let's go show them. 1, 2, 3.
Together!
This is our time.
When we bring it together and we all locked in, we coming back in this locker room with a victory.
That's the Big East way.
Marquette and St. John's, 2 of the top 6 in the Big East, ready to go on this Sunday afternoon. Both trying to bounce back from disappointing efforts on Friday night.
Almost
so close to the first touch right off the tip, but it'll be St. John's ball instead. I'm available to make the inbounds pass.
Always.
Tiana England with it in the backcourt, running the point for St. John's. As Mike alluded to, 4 guards and the freshman center, Emma Nolan. And most of the action will take place on the perimeter for the Red Storm. Alicia Cabey with the jumper, in and out. And England, the rebound. She can't convert either. And the rebound to Izzy Spingola for Marquette. Golden Eagles come in 8-4, tied for 3rd. Just behind, a half game behind Butler. Great ball movement, and the layup from the hands of Altia Anderson, the senior from Delaware. At the other end, Alyssa Alston off the front iron. And we're going to see some pace to this one. They were high scoring in January. We would expect nothing less today.
And that game started with St. John's throwing the ball 50 feet up the floor at times to break through a nominal Marquette press in the early going of that game. And then it led to a 10-2 start to Marquette timeout 3.5 minutes into that game. We'll see if it happens again that way.
We've referenced Friday's games a couple times. Marquette trailed pretty much all the way at Seton Hall, lost 72-60. St. John's was up by as much as 12 against DePaul and coughed it up in the fourth quarter, lost 71-65.
And Joe Tartamella was rightfully angry at his post-game press conference. It's got to be a killer instinct to this St. John's team if they're going to go anywhere.
They got 5 conference losses, and 4 of them you could classify as bad, frustrating losses, as Emma Nolan puts them in front, the freshman from Valparaiso, Indiana, and Marquette Catholic. No relation, of course, to Marquette University.
You know, they thought in non-conference they could have easily been 11-1 through 12 games. With games they simply gave away. You could argue that this is a team that could just as easily have 2 or maybe 3 conference losses instead of 5.
Anderson turning the corner once again. She's got all 4 for the Golden Eagles.
That they easily could have beaten Villanova, not once but twice, both going to overtime. And they easily could have beaten DePaul twice, including in Chicago where they, mucked the game up a little bit.
Nolan will try it again and hit it again. 38% three-point shooter. She hits the first 2.
They feel like there is no big that they've had in recent years quite like her with her ability to step away from the basket.
Marquette doesn't take a whole lot of threes and doesn't make a whole lot of threes. That one off from Jordan King. England in transition. Van Clunen's going to have to come a little bit more aggressively out to Nolan if she keeps hitting those. This is Quadasha Hoppy. Takes the 2-point jumper. And Anderson the rebound.
Good defense by Selena Lott. Sort of got shook a little bit and still got a hand in the face.
Here's Van Clunen. Off the screen, Spingola puts it on the floor. Doesn't come up with a clean look. 10 to shoot for Marquette here in the first. Surprised anybody went that deep in the shot clock. Nolan with the rejection, and Marquette will inbound with 5 to shoot. They find Van Clunen. She'll look for the left-handed lob and tie the score 6-all.
For what it's worth, they had 12 points in the first matchup through exactly this amount of time. So it feels slower, but the points are going in the same. Both teams shot well over 50%.
Alston turned it over looking for KB. Selena Lott with the pickoff, with the feed, and Anderson has 6 early.
That's a gorgeous switch into her left hand to use the rim to her advantage, lay it in.
13th start of the career for Altia Anderson. She had 76 games as a sub entering the season, and you knew after that outstanding senior class graduated, she was going to be called on for a bigger role.
Only 6 minutes a game last year.
Emma Nolan and Fuego early, 3 for 3 from 3.
On Friday night, it was all about Quadasha Hoppy and her ability to nail threes early in the game. It's Emma Nolan this time, bringing the thunder. And Fuego.
They said she's the energy twin. She's the one singing at 6 a.m. practices. Well, she's brought the energy in the first quarter tonight, or this afternoon. England up to grab the rebound and up the floor in a flash. Tiana England using the window.
One thing I thought Marquette did really well the first time around is open court dribble penetration. They cut it off really well, especially when England was running the floor. England simply more aggressive this time around.
Nolan again defending inside. Alston head up. Nolan heat check. Well short that time, and even she mustered a grin. And she got lost for a second. King sneaks behind her. Lott, I beg your pardon, sneaks behind her. And Joe Tartamella with a glare for a couple players.
this is a weekend where you cannot get lost in transition. When you play DePaul and Marquette back-to-back, likewise, you could say the same thing for those two teams playing St. John's and Seton Hall the way they've played this year.
Alston in traffic. KB came up with the loose ball, but came up short against the rim. And Marquette with another stop, a chance to take the lead. Breathtaking basketball. 5 subs set to check in. They haven't had a chance. Anderson the rebound. She's filling up the stat sheet early. Here's Van Clunen against Nolan. Marquette likes this matchup, and she burns her again.
Marquette basket put in by number 42, Lauren Van Clunen.
That's going to be the big story for Emma Nolan, her ability to understand, not just play one-on-one with her mark, but understand the defensive principles.
Hoppy, wild effort, and the rebound grabbed by Spingola. How many minutes without a whistle?
Too many?
I don't know what the record is, but no, not too many. You can't have too many. This is great. Anderson might have gotten fouled. She scores anyway, getting around Nolan, who has dropped in those threes, but struggled a little bit defending the post moves of the redshirt junior Lauren Van Clunen. 3-point Marquette lead. And they get to defend St. John's in the half court, which is what they want. KB in the corner. Under 3 minutes to play in the first quarter. Still no subs because they haven't had a chance. Altia Anderson leading the way, but throws that one away, and finally a whistle and a stoppage. Everybody will catch their breath with 2:51 left in the first quarter, and Marquette out to a 3-point lead on the road, trying to make up some of the ground they lost Friday night. Golden Eagles by 3 early.
Uncle Jack's, the best New York steakhouse. I've hidden a gift card under the...
St. John's University is New York, through and through. While our roots may be here in the city, our Catholic and Vincentian influence is felt around the globe. Diverse, determined, and dedicated. Our students graduate
We're all in, all together. Great voices ready to start, great energy. We're getting excited about what we do, all right? You know how together you are. You know how hard you're going to work, but you also know how good you are. Let's go, Storm. 1, 2, 3.
Together! This is our time.
When we bring it together and we all locked in, we coming back in this locker room with a victory.
That's the Big East Way. The 2020 Women's Basketball Tournament at Wintrust Arena. Get tickets.
My parents never taught me anything about managing money.
The amount of student loan debt I have, I'm embarrassed to even say.
We just decided we didn't want debt any longer.
I didn't realize how easy investing could be.
I'm picking companies that I believe in. I think SoFi Money is amazing.
Thank you, SoFi.
SoFi, thank you. We love you.
Marquette out to a 14-11 lead on St. John's. First quarter here at Carnesecca Arena. Buried inside that huddle is Megan Duffy, the 35-year-old in her first year as head coach at Marquette. Spent 3 years here at the St. John's sideline, where she was an assistant coach with Joe Tardamella under Kim Barnes-Arico. And Megan Duffy, former player at Notre Dame and in the WNBA, came over to Marquette after a couple of years as the head coach at Miami of Ohio, replacing Carolyn Keeger, who went off to Penn State after that terrific group that graduated. I'm not going to run through the names because you know them by now if you've watched Big East basketball. They ended the Rice season in the NCAA tournament last year. I'm still
heartbroken.
I'm still a little upset, but Rice is unbeaten in conference play, so we're okay. And Marquette is, of course, now rebuilding with this group and, of course, putting together a great campaign, contending in that packed-in top of the Big East.
Yeah, it's 17-6 coming into the weekend, and now 8-5 in the Big East. I mean, you're in that neck of the woods where you're talking about minimum WNIT, but, you know, a few more wins here down the stretch, and They get the Paul to close out the season, so that's a big RPI game, and it's not that big of a road trip to go to Chicago for the Big East tournament. That could be a real game changer.
8th year under Joe Tardamella for St. John's. 6 of his first 7 have seen him go to the postseason. Red Storm missing out last year. And reloading with a series of transfers this year. Some long in the works, some more abrupt. And this one, Alyssa Alston sat out last year after transferring from Ole Miss, enjoying her season in Queens. Leilani Correa, another freshman transfer in for St. John's. Raven Farley, a transfer, and Kadeja Bailey all into the game as well. Bailey traveled, and that turnover is the Red Storm's second. Bailey made the highlight reels on Friday night for her defense. At the other end of the floor is still a work in progress.
Yeah, definitely an offensive work in progress. I mean, you're talking about someone who's shooting 62% from the field coming into the weekend. It's not like she hasn't been efficient in those moments, but creating those moments, been a little bit of a struggle.
First bucket for Cameron Taylor, post in off the bench for Marquette.
So the 3 blocks that Bailey had, including 2 in transition, were tremendous.
Alyssa Alston turning the corner, and she'll go to the free throw line here with a chance to reach a nice round number.
Could have had a little more pizzazz doing if she puts it in that way.
Oh, that would have been a nice.
You would have gotten really excited for that.
I am still really excited.
Yep.
You can tell, right? 5-point lead for Marquette as Alston sinks the first. 999 career points for Alyssa Alston. Number 1,000 for Alyssa Alston. Started at Ole Miss, finishing at St. John's, and that is a high note for her. Number 1,000 in the career of Alyssa Alston.
I was just doing a game where a player was stuck on 999 from the previous week. Went 0 for 8 to start, 24 minutes worth of game time until they finally got over the hump.
Cameron Taylor off the bench, 4 quick ones, and Marquette is killing it in the post.
It was Giannis Antetokounmpo's younger brother, actually. Waited a long time.
One of his.
The youngest brother.
But it's nice to get that out of the way for Alyssa Alston in the first quarter. I thought they should have run something off the first possession for her.
Yeah.
Take care of it. She's on the move here. It went up without a plan of where it was going. Correa with the shot clock expiring, gets fouled. What a bailout. Spingola defending her tight on the perimeter.
Yeah, that's a bailout. And I understand it because you want to come around on top of that and defend knowing there's only 4 seconds left on the shot clock off that little pitch from Farley. I get it, but, you know, that is 100% a bailout and 3 free throws.
Correa's one St. John's would want at the free throw line as well. 83% free throw shooter.
Yeah.
As I say that.
Curse.
Freshman from South Jersey who enrolled at West Virginia in June and then transferred to St. John's in September. Got a waiver, eligible to play immediately, and what a gift that has been for St. John's, the second leading scorer.
A couple of 30-point games in non-conference play, and they've been really comfortable having her come in off the bench and provide a spark.
She hits 2 of 3, still shaking her head about the one she missed. And it's a 3-point ball game as St. John's looks to apply a little bit of pressure. Unique Drake in there, another freshman. All kinds of room for Chloe Murata. Narelle Lubo running the point now for Marquette. Not a real scoring threat, will move the ball. They go to Taylor in the post. Farley defending her. I mean, Mike, Marquette is dominating inside right now.
They had 54 points in the paint. Now, to be fair, they scored over 90 when these teams met in January, but
Correa stepped into that one, and that's what has kept St. John's in the game so far. shooting 50%, now 57% from three-point range.
And that's kind of the problem. That's what kept them in the game against DePaul. And then it went a little dry, and then you've got a problem.
Now 4-second differential here. If you're Marquette, do you run it down and hope St. John's can't get a good look in 4 seconds? It may not matter as a foul's called away from the ball.
They'll put the shot clock up to 20, so it'll turn off. I'm a believer that you're not going to get the length of the floor in 3.5 seconds. So wait till 10 seconds and run your play when you've got that kind of differential.
And that clock management hurt them last night. They were probably going to lose that game, or Friday night against Seton Hall. They're probably going to lose it anyway, but at the end of the third quarter, Marquette did not handle that situation well. And they turn it over here. Cameron Taylor traveled, and she was looking to go to the basket, so they were going to blow it again.
And look, if you get the 2 points because you get the shot you want, you're kind of willing to eat that.
Right.
But
if you get a gimme layup, take it. Right. But otherwise, don't put the ball on the floor and get your shot up with 10 seconds to play. Hoppy went a little early there, but it's time for Correa to get the rebound, go into the traffic, and score.
That's the difference between being tied and being ahead after a quarter.
St. John's fortunate to close the quarter on a strong note and tie things 20-20. Hey, we had more than 6 minutes without a stoppage, so don't complain about this one. Red Storm 20, Golden Eagles 20, first quarter in the books here in Queens.
Fans of the St. John's women's basketball team would like to wish a very happy
St. John's University is New York, through and through. While our roots may be here in the city, our Catholic and Vincentian influence is felt around the globe. Diverse, determined, and dedicated, our students graduate career-ready and primed to take on the challenges of tomorrow. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
Hallelujah.
And this is just one night. You should see what we do during the day. Marquette University. Be the difference.
All right, we gotta be all in, all right? And we gotta make sure we play with great passion. You have felt each other and helped each other and allowed yourselves to be helped with that, all right? We've got a great opportunity to do that today.
This is who we are.
When you look to your left and you see your sister over there, you help her. Because what we are one. Let's bring it.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah! That's the Big East way. The 2020 Big East Women's Basketball Tournament at Wintrust Arena. Get tickets now.
The amount of student loan debt I have, I'm embarrassed to even say.
I felt like I was going to spend my whole adult life paying this off.
Thanks to SoFi, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
As of 12 p.m. today, I am debt-free.
We have no debt, we don't owe anybody anything, and it's fantastic.
What a first quarter from behind the three-point arc for St. John's. 4 out of 7 from deep. I beg your pardon. Yeah, 4 out of 7.
Yeah.
I got it right.
Uh-huh.
And that's one of the big reasons they're still in the game, because they were 2 for 9 from two-point range in the first. Just shoot deep ones.
Highlights so good, we're bringing them to you in stop motion, the way it was meant to be done. Emma Nolan from downtown, not once, not twice, 3 times. Missed the heat check, but, you know, this is a Marquette team. You said they don't take a lot of threes. Last year it was all they did. I mean, they were 8.5 threes a game, so total makeover of what they did from last year under their new head coach, Megan Duffy, and they're doing it just like this.
All Marquette in the paint in that first quarter, and Jordan King keeps it going in the second. And now St. John's turns it over.
That's now 18 of 22 points for Marquette in the paint, which is basically how the first game played out.
I mean, if you're St. John's, how do you counter that? KB is playing the 4 right now. Do you keep up with that, or do you put 2 bigger players in there?
Yeah, they talked about going 2 bigs against DePaul, and DePaul obviously a different animal in the way they score their 80 points a game, 85 points a game than how Marquette goes about it. But I'd certainly consider it.
King stuffed inside. Tiana England with the block. 10 to shoot for Marquette.
The thing is, I think Farley is a pretty decent complementary piece to either Bailey, who's a little bit bigger and maybe not technically your prototypical center, and Emma Nolan, who much more is, or a stretch 4 kind of player. So you could theoretically have those two work together okay.
Tie up underneath Correa and Anderson arriving at the same time, and the possession arrow gives it to St. John's.
But if you do that, how much do you change the pace of the game away from what you want?
Significantly, but...
Nice block by England, getting in there from behind.
I'm sure they've tried it in practice, and every opportunity they've had where they can evaluate something, not risk-free, but with minimal risk.
And you almost wish Raven Farley had been available before the second to last week of December, so you could have tried this in November when it really didn't matter that much.
Yep. Open 3 and no good.
That pass was on a rope. Missed Farley's fingertips by, 2 inches?
Little pick and roll here. England can't get it back to her. KB on the floor, wild effort, but she got the blocking call. And we'll get free throws, as it's the first foul against Van Clunen.
Interested to see how much Van Clunen doubles the pick and roll moving forward, because that did not look good when they almost came together and picked each other.
But their size advantage was so big that England couldn't see a lane to get the pass away.
And that's why I think Marquette was going to cause some problems. I mean, you look at Lott, for instance, taller than every player in the front court right now, except maybe Hoppy. And if Hoppy's taller, it's by hair.
1 point Marquette lead. Anderson again using the window. She's turned that corner time after time. She's made a complete around-the-block movement by now.
And has scored 5 field goals for 10 points on 5 attempts. And you and I were talking about it. It hasn't been back to the basket, let's, ISO. It's movement.
A little hesitation move from Hoppy to get in the lane. Marquette not happy with the foul call, but it'll be free throws for Quidasha Hoppy, who, by the way, is scoreless so far today.
Not for long. I mean, that's kind of the story with Hoppy. It's these big spurts. It's not that she hasn't played all-around games this year, but when she really gets on a roll, one of the better pure scorers in this league. Numbers certainly back it up.
And really a step forward this year. I mean, she's had the three-pointer in her arsenal, but this year it has been leaps and bounds. From 34% to up over 43% from deep.
Yeah, last year they had other players whose job it was. They had 3-and-D players.
How about KB defending Van Clunen, at least forced her wide, and St. John's able to run. Hoppy gets her own rebound. England thought about the three. Wraparound pass, couldn't connect with Farley, but it stays with the Red Storm.
See, she may not be the tallest, and you could say the same about Aaliyah Lewis a time ago, but just someone who has a feel for the game to know that's going to go. That's a beautiful effort.
Here's England again. Redshirt junior. Found some space, but left it short. Farley a little soft in the rebound, but she got fouled, and the foul total mounting quickly. That's 2 on Altia Anderson, 2 on Selena Lott as well for Marquette.
That could change the complexion of this game. Anderson's on 10 points and unstoppable so far, and she has
now
to go
she's
sit.
On the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Foul on the floor, of course. England to inbound for St. John's. Looking for Hoppy.
Good ball denial in the post to keep Farley off by Van Clunen.
KB has to settle for a step back. It did hit the rim, but that was about all it accomplished. And Murata beats everybody down the floor. and converts inside again.
That's 2 or 3 times where they've been beaten down the floor. Marquette too good at whipping those 65-foot passes over people's heads.
Another foul away from the ball, and Megan Duffy's got to be frustrated with the foul differential at the moment. But that's why she made the sub, though. That's only the first foul on Murata.
But the team's 4th. So you're looking at putting St. John's in the bonus on the next foul and all the ensuing fouls for 6.5 minutes.
Hoppy with the step back, in and out. Rattling around, Van Clunen the rebound. Marquette with a 3-point lead in the ball. Murata in the post against Emma Nolan, back in. Kicks it out, Van Clunen can hit those. In and out that time. Tap to the St. John's bench, it'll stay with Marquette.
And that's about as far out as Van Clunen can get. She's only tried 3 threes this year, but can step away from the basket and hit those mid-range jumpers and make life a little more difficult. Although right now she's lining up with KB.
I mean, often that's St. John's best plan, is put KB on whoever you're having trouble guarding. King testing her range. Collision of bodies in the paint, and England came up with it briefly and then lost it. Shades of Friday night as Tiana England couldn't cleanly scoop up the loose ball. And they wind up, I believe, calling a tie-up that would keep the ball with Marquette in this case. I think they're discussing change of possession.
Coming in from Marquette, number
Tiana
13,
England
Catherine Taylor.
just sort of trying to keep that ball going forward and hoping that she can lead the fast break off that.
You like that idea?
And yeah.
But you got to secure it first.
Credit to Kafis for getting to the ground for it.
Claire Kafis, not always a regular rotation piece in there for Marquette. Shot clock went back to 20 because they said St. John's never had clear possession of it. Murata leaning on Nolan and did draw the foul. Chloe Murata, who former coach Carolyn Keeger called Ms. Marquette. Third-generation Golden Eagle. Her brother played and is on staff on the men's side. It is National Marquette Day, you know.
Is it?
It is. The Marquette men on earlier.
She's been a breath of fresh air in this game, hasn't she? I mean, has attacked the basket well, made a couple nice plays on the defensive end. You know, her dad, you mentioned being a multi-generation Golden Eagle, 3 times first-team All-Academic All-American. That's incredible.
Played,
now, that's Marquette.
Played with Doc Rivers.
Really?
Yeah. Nolan scoops up the loose ball for St. John's. Hoppy, she was thinking 3-point all the way, used it as a decoy, scoops, and almost scores. Would have been a sensational move to the hoop. And it's another foul and more free throws. That's only the first foul against Jordan King, though.
At the line for St. John's is number 21, Kodasha Hoppy.
Put her on skates.
And that's the thing. You say, think about three-pointer. Everyone on the floor is thinking she's going to take that three-pointer, and it's very unsettling.
I don't know if she was thinking 3 and then changed her mind. If so, that made it very effective.
Yeah.
If that was by design, dead on, keep doing more of that, because we all thought she was going to pull up.
Yeah, that's some high IQ stuff if that was all part of the master plan.
Only able to convert 1 of 2 at the free throw line, though. 4-point game. Kadeja Bailey in defensively for St. John's. Cameron Taylor in as well, number 15. They're trying to find her in the post. They double it. She can't find the pass. Oh, it's stuffed out of bounds by KB. She'll bring the defense every day of the week. It'll stay with Marquette when we come back, but they'll have 9 to shoot because Alicia Kaby got up and said, not in my house, not right now.
The Big East Championship. Today, we crossed the finish line first. Who is going to...
St. John's University is New York, through and through. While our roots may be here in the city, our Catholic and Vincentian influence is felt around the globe. Diverse, determined, and dedicated, our students graduate career-ready and primed to take on the challenges of tomorrow. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
Hallelujah.
And this is just one night. You should see what we do during the day. Marquette University. Be the difference.
We're all in, all together. Great voices ready to start, great energy. We're getting excited about what we do, all right? You know how together you are. You know how hard you're going to work, but you also know how good you are. Let's go show them. 1, 2, 3.
Together! This is our time.
When we bring it together and we all locked in, we coming back in this locker room, people, for victory.
That's the Big East Way. The 2020 Women's Basketball Tournament at Wintrust Arena. Get tickets now.
My parents never taught me anything about managing money.
The amount of student loan debt I have, I'm embarrassed to even say.
We just decided we didn't want debt any longer.
I didn't realize how easy investing could be.
I'm picking companies that I believe in. I think SoFi Money is amazing.
Thank you, SoFi.
SoFi, thank you. We love you.
Alicia Kaby helping out defensively and doing it emphatically.
She is looking right down the line of that entire play, races across and puts that thing into the cheerleaders. That is vicious stuff, and she is, you know, if we talk about a Miss Marquette, that kind of player, she personifies what Joe Tartamella wants from St. John's. Just tenacious defensively and can bring enough offense to get the job done too.
Mike, St. John's is 6 for 21 from the field. They've only made 2 two-pointers. How are they in this?
They've won the foul disparity 8-2, and they've shot the 3-ball really well, which is more or less how they hung in against DePaul in a game where they definitely didn't feel they played their best. You give Marquette a lot of credit. I mean, this is exactly where they were when they were playing Seton Hall. They didn't hit a three-pointer till the fourth quarter. They haven't hit one yet today, but they are remarkably efficient inside the arc.
Lowest three-point percentage of attempts in the Big East.
Compared to last year, that's incredible.
And it's a low number. 23.5% of their shots are threes. I mean, that's really low.
Yeah.
St. John's has been around 30 the last few years, and that's low. Meanwhile, this year, the Red Storm, the highest number under Joe Tartamella. As I say that, Alyssa Alston sinks a nice 2.
You know, Doug Bruno, and I took this as a compliment to St. John's. He described this St. John's team as, quote, a Marquette redo from a year ago. I thought that was, the more I thought about it, the more I felt that's about right. They don't maybe have the number of...
They don't have Blockton, Heidemann, or Davenport. But.
Right, the big names, but the way they play, the system they play, similar to Coach Keeger.
It's like a clinic inside.
It's not like they're making a bunch of tough, contested mid-range twos. It's that they're getting to the rim effectively and efficiently, both through creation on the dribble and off just the system they play.
And St. John's trying to make them pass post to post, and they're making the most of those situations.
Unless KB shows up.
Alston had to pick it up near the free throw line, got stuck, finds Hoppy. Great movement, but she came up short. KB gets rocked going for the rebound, and she'll go to the free throw line as a result of her effort. First foul against Kafis.
Fouls on number 10, Claire Kafis. That is her first foul.
9 fouls against Marquette. Nobody's...
St. John's University is.
For the second half.
And I know this is my get off my lawn moment, but I don't get it.
You're only one?
Yeah.
The first of many.
Yeah.
You don't get what?
The idea of we're going to save a player for the entire last 7 minutes of the second quarter. I understand wanting to be careful and want a player late in the game, but I understand if you're at 3 fouls especially, but on 2, you trust your player to go handle that and play with a high IQ.
You're talking about a senior and an experienced junior as well. It's not a freshman who you say, I can't trust you with 2. Battle inside, and this time it's KB called for the foul.
And you just played Seton Hall. You're on one of the toughest road trips of the year. You're going to be running constantly. Maybe there's an element of just, it's better to play 28 really good minutes instead of 35 tentative minutes.
You're assuming all minutes are created equal.
That's true. But if you run away with a game because you left someone in,
Wow, the height advantage inside shows up again. Cameron Taylor cleanly banked that home, and Marquette back to a 4-point lead.
That's a great screen.
Alston dropped Van Clunen at midcourt. Farley inside. And it was Alicia Kaby laying the hammer on that screen. You get a screen assist for that? Probably not.
I think that should exist. It doesn't.
That rebound secured by Alicia Kaby.
It doesn't exist where we can find. I guarantee every NBA team keeps track of that, right?
Yeah, but that one, there was another pass. I don't know if it would have gone down. That's a 2-pointer for Hoppy and a tie game, 32 all. 2 minutes and change to play here in the second.
And only her first make from the field.
5 points for Quidasha Hoppy. Emma Nolan leads St. John's on the basis of her 3-point shooting alone. Kaby with the rotation, with the rejection, and with the stop. 3-second call. What a play from Alicia Kaby at that end of the floor.
That is the second time. You mentioned that low post passing presence, but also just that lob into the post, and Kaby like a heat-seeking missile for the second time today, coming across and just absolute denial.
And you have to understand, the post player is not feeling the body on her. She thinks she's free.
Right.
And she goes up, and all of a sudden you're met with that force. It is a blow to the system.
I love when coaches describe a player who screens well and defends physically. One of those players where you don't realize how strong they are until you get whacked by them. Kaby's that kind of player.
They doubled the pick and roll, and St. John's now called for an offensive foul. Second charged against Hoppy. And Joe Tartamella going to follow conventional wisdom and take Quidasha Hoppy out.
That's fine for a minute and a half. I just don't like it for like 6 minutes.
I'm not even sure you need it for a minute and a half, but a little extra height in there with Kadeja Bailey. Now Kaby can play the 3. Although she may not.
Farley literally looks twice the size of Alston when they're back to back like they were in the low post a second ago.
They're keeping Kaby at the 4, even with Bailey on the floor. She's guarding the point guard Lubo, who's not really a threat to score. Fight for the loose ball, everybody after it, and a timeout called for.
Help ball called.
Oh no, did they call a tie-up? Yeah, I had the timeout going to Marquette.
Well, Megan Duffy, you can look at her hand. She's like, wait, what?
Yeah, Van Clunen called it on the floor, and Megan Duffy does not look happy about it.
3 seconds left on the shot clock. You gave yourself a shot at a miracle at the buzzer.
Well, otherwise, it would have been a turnover, maybe.
But at least it would have been. It's not a dead ball turnover, but it's close, and you'd rather give up the possession arrow. 3 seconds to shoot. I mean, it really is a pot shot. You're actually going to be able to pull this off. Because you're coming from a side inbound.
You drop your best ATO.
Just not good enough hands to hold on to that. And then that very easily could have just been a simple top. Yeah, it goes to St. John's, but you'll get the possession arrow out of halftime. It's a wash, more or less.
Megan Duffy's expression was priceless. When The referee, Geraldine Smith, points at her and says, timeout Marquette. And she's like, I didn't call it. All right, 3 to shoot for Marquette, 1:02 to play in the quarter. Van Clunen came up short. They'll play through the shot clock violation.
Get off my lawn.
Megan Duffy is vindicated. Leilani Correa for St. John's out to Alston. You want to go 2 for 1 here. Another scramble for the rebound. Bailey couldn't secure it. Lubo with a 5-second differential between game and shot clocks. And this time Megan Duffy says hold. Or does she? Nope, read it wrong again.
You're going to give at least 6 seconds to St. John's.
Yeah, but it's going to take 2 seconds to bring down the rebound.
Correct.
Into the post again. High percentage from there, and Taylor with a rare miss. 9 seconds for St. John's to get the shot away. Will they get anything coherent?
Drip, drip.
Nope.
And that's the end of the first half.
That is a really fun half of basketball. Tied after 1, tied after 2, and we're looking at another quality game of what we saw Friday for both these teams. Could go right to the wire, Jonathan.
Marquette in the post. St. John's from deep and the free throw line. Nothing separating them. 32-32 at the half. Stay with us here in Queens.
St. John's University is New York, through and through. While our roots may be here in the city, our Catholic and Vincentian influence is felt around the globe. Diverse, determined, and dedicated, our students graduate career-ready and primed to take on the challenges of tomorrow. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
Hallelujah.
And this is just one night. You should see what we do during the day. Marquette University. Be the difference.
Around the Big East, your player and freshman of the week, Kelly Campbell from DePaul. We saw her outstanding late in the game Friday night. And Maddie Segrist from Villanova, which continues to surprise and get into that top portion of the Big East this year. Who else we got? Mike?
Big East on a roll. You think about Creighton with their big result against DePaul last time out. Selena Lott, we mentioned that 34 against St. John's, but is averaging 17 a game this year. And Shadeen Samuels continuing to build off a good 3 years at Seton Hall, has brought her best for last.
DePaul and Seton Hall going down to the wire right now over in Jersey. And we don't know a lot about the Big East tournament specifics as far as who will be in what game, but we know it'll be at Wintrust Arena in Chicago. WBB tickets or call 773.
Let's just say that the year
Stand up stronger. I got the power.
My greatest female influence in sports would be my older sister. She is a basketball player as well, and she plays at the collegiate level. And I also was able to always look up to her and admire her as a role model. She's faced a lot of adversity through the sport, so just having that connection with her has been really great.
Serena Williams, she's opened up so many doors for women just in how she carries herself and like all the things that she has brought to her game in tennis, even endorsements and all the commercials and opportunities she's opened for women.
I think that would have to be Skylar Diggins. Just I love how she embodies herself as a woman and how she plays hard and she never steps down to anything.
I really enjoy Sydney Leroux from the U.S. Women's National Team. I just actually watched her video series on her having a child and coming back from that. So I think I like how she has pursued and be a great leader on her team as well as a mother.
Natisha Heidemann, because we knew each other for however many years, and seeing her go to the league is just amazing.
Allison Felix and Serena Williams. Those women are just amazing in the things that they do. They just continue to pave the way for myself and as a basketball player. Athletes such as Maya Moore, Della Don, because I kind of try to mimic their style of play. On the court and off the court, they're just great women to look up to. I really hope to be just like them one day and all their success, and also give back to the sport that they've played in.
Go, Red Storm.
32-32 at the half between St. John's and Marquette. National Girls and Women in Sports Day was Wednesday, February 5th. Big East is proud to celebrate the strong and inspiring women participating and thriving across the sports landscape. Hear from some of the women's basketball standouts across the league on their greatest female influence in sports.
My greatest female influence in sports would be my older sister. She is a basketball player as well, and she plays at the collegiate level. And I also was able to always look up to her and admire her as a role model. She's faced a lot of adversity through the sport, so just having that connection with her has been really great.
Serena Williams, she's opened up so many doors for women just in how she carries herself and like all the things that she has brought to her game in tennis, even endorsements and all the commercials and opportunities she's opened for women.
I think that would have to be Skylar Diggins. Just I love how she embodies herself as a woman and how she plays hard and she never steps down to anything.
I really enjoy Sydney Leroux from the U.S. Women's National Team. I just actually watched her video series on her having a child and coming back from that. So I think I like how she has pursued and be a great leader on her team as well as a mother.
Natisha Heidemann, because we knew each other for however many years, and seeing her go to the league is just amazing.
Allison Felix and Serena Williams. Those women are just amazing in the things that they do. They just continue to pave the way for myself and as a basketball player. Athletes such as Maya Moore, Della Don, because I kind of try to mimic their style of play. On the court and off the court, they're just great women to look up to. I really hope to be just like them one day and all their success, and also give back to the sport that they've played in.
Now, Big East Fast Break is the weekly women's basketball show hosted by Megan Caffrey and Ashley Liatis, breaking down everything in Big East women's hoops. You can catch all new episodes of Fast Break during the season every Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. on the Big East Twitter and YouTube pages. This week, Megan was joined by Fox Sports analyst Kim Adams to break down the state of the league.
Big East teams are on the back half of conference play with March implications on the line as we welcome in Fox Sports analyst Kim Adams. Kim, let's start at the top of the league and look at DePaul. The Blue Demons lead the conference at 10-1, and in Monday night's NCAA tournament projections of the top 16 seeds, the DePaul Blue Demons checked in at a 14 seed. What do you make of what the Blue Demons have done so far this season?
Well, I think anything that with DePaul and Coach Doug Bruno, the word I always think of is consistency. So once again, DePaul has been consistent. Did they have that little slip up against Creighton? Yes, but I honestly think sometimes a loss like that can help a little bit when you're really rolling along and you're winning games. They had been undefeated in the league before that Creighton loss. So I think that can almost help you recalibrate at times. But they just have so many weapons, obviously, all starting with Kelly Campbell, this week's Big East Player of the Week after a triple-double. But she's orchestrating everything. And then they just have so many scorers. Sonia Morris has made a big jump this year. Lexi Held. I think Lexi Held is a potential future Big East Player of the Year. She's got probably the purest shooting stroke, maybe that I've ever seen across any level I've covered. WNBA, men's college, women's college. When you see her shoot, it's like, wow, that's a pure stroke. So they just have so many guards. They don't have a ton of size. But the way they play, they don't really need to rely on any size. The way they can just get up and down the floor, really get teams out of their comfort level. Once that press comes on and they're forcing turnovers, you can get a signature DePaul run where if you're playing them, you might be down 2, and then all of a sudden you look up and you're down 12. So again, I think that Creighton loss may have help them.
On the topic of tournament projections in Charlie Cream's latest bracketology, both of those teams were included. They were 2 of 4 teams that Charlie Cream has in there: DePaul, Creighton, Marquette, and St. John's. What does that say to the depth of the league this year?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it would be great for the league to get 4, maybe even 5 teams in. I like that those 4 teams are in. I think maybe a 5th could sneak in as well. I think Seton Hall could make some noise. I think they're going to have to do a lot of work for the rest of Big East play. They've been a little bit inconsistent, but with that, you have those 4 teams in. So when you're playing against those 4 teams, that's a big chance to boost your resume with a win. So I think a team like Seton Hall just has to recognize those opportunities that are ahead of them, and that it's not just impacting that one game, but their chances of getting into March Madness.
How about a team that's maybe surprised you this season with where they're at right now in the conference standings?
I think it's absolutely Marquette. That was a team who is second in the standings and was picked 9th in the preseason poll. And you think about all that they lost, all 5 starters who had all averaged 1,000 points or more. Alizé Blockton 2,000 points. So they lost an incredible amount. So to think, and not to mention their head coach, Carolyn Keeger. So to think about the job that Coach Duffy has done in her first year is pretty incredible.
As we're on the back half of conference play now, Kim, these games are all the more important. And you look at the standings and you've got 2 teams at 7-4, St. John's and Seton Hall, and then another tie at 6-5, Creighton and Villanova. We're going into a really important weekend this upcoming weekend. What do these teams have to do to really get that win and be able to make a break away from these ties?
For what I've seen, a lot of these teams need to put together a full 40 minutes. Teams like St. John's, Seton Hall, who are currently sitting in 4th and 5th. This is a huge weekend for them. Welcoming in the top 2 teams, DePaul and Marquette, and it's going to be on their home floor. Seton Hall, I've had them a bunch this year, and you see glimpses of greatness. You see glimpses of, wow, this could be the 2nd best team in the league. This team could beat DePaul, I think. But then there's games where they come out slow. We saw that against St. John's in the All Access game. I saw that the other day against Villanova. They were able to come back in that one. But against a team like DePaul and Marquette, you can't dig yourself into a hole. Joe Tartamella, St. John's, he's actually the opposite. He's talked about the importance of his team closing games. So I think this is a time where you have to lock in on a full 40 minutes. You can't give up. You can't get lazy for 3 minutes against DePaul, or they'll go on a 14-2 run.
Kim Adams, everybody, you can catch her at 7 p.m. Eastern time on Friday night as Marquette visits Seton Hall, and then again on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern with Villanova at Butler. Kim, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Megan. I'll see you around at some of the games.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Carnesecca Arena. Jonathan Yardley and Mike Watts with you, enjoying this one, 32-32 at the half. Mike, it was everybody doing what they do best all the time. St. John's from deep, Marquette inside.
And last year, you would say it would be precisely the opposite to get to this result. But Think about how St. John's clamped down defensively in the second quarter. Marquette, 10 of 15 in the opening quarter from the field. Got way too many easy looks inside. St. John's shooting the three as effectively as they did in the opening half last time out against DePaul. And these are the little plays that killed St. John's in that 20-20 first quarter between these two teams. It's just a brutal mix of inside movement, post-to-post passing. It's not really the dribble penetration. That's where St. John's has gotten most of their work done. I don't feel like this game is remotely close to the pace. The score certainly shows it as the last time these teams met in January. And, of course, big moment here.
Alyssa Alston, point number 1,000, combined between her Ole Miss and St. John's careers. But at the other end, that inside game of Marquette has been devastating in the paint, shooting nearly 50% from the field. But the threes and the layups and that timely defense allowed St. John's to stay in it and tie it just before the half, 32-32. And you see the numbers, Marquette moving the ball better with the 10 assists, but the free throws don't tell the whole story, the percentages, because St. John's got there a whole lot more, making 10 free throws to Marquette's 2.
Yeah, +8 at the free throw line, and you think about the number of field goals. Yeah, Marquette's got 15-9, but St. John's makes up 4 points just purely by having 4 of those be three-pointers. So Marquette wasn't going to shoot a lot of threes. None of this is really surprising if you watch these two teams this year. This is going to be...
St. John's University is New York, through and through. While our roots may be here in the city, our Catholic and Vincentian influence is felt around the globe. Diverse, determined, and dedicated, our students graduate career-ready and primed to take on the challenges of tomorrow. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
They even have Johnny Thunderbird on there doing the red storm siren warning.
Well, one team's ready to start the second half. Don't worry, Marquette's coming to the floor. They wouldn't miss National Marquette Day. 32-32 between St. John's and Marquette. Marquette came in tied for 3rd in the Big East. St. John's came in tied for 5th, but just one game separates them. No Tiana England to start this 3rd quarter for St. John's. Leilani Correa gets the nod, and we saw a lot of this in the first half. A Marquette foul, trying to box out Alicia Kaby for a rebound. And it's number 3 on Altia Anderson, and she goes right to the bench.
Yeah.
After 10 seconds.
And maybe that would have happened in the second quarter, in the first half. Who knows?
Are you going to welcome everybody back to your lawn now?
Yeah. It's just you don't know how long you're going to get, so I don't know why you don't run the thread out earlier.
Pick and roll. Nolan missed the gimme, though. Frustrated with herself. She was inside and all alone after Marquette, again, blitzed the ball. And this time St. John's dealt with it.
And let's say this about Anderson. There's a reason she only averages 20 minutes a game. And that's the biggest reason why.
Selena Lott held in check with just 2 points in that first half after she had 34 in the team's first meeting. She's at the bottom of your screen, number 24 with it now. Finds Van Clunen, who can use either hand effectively, and this time Nolan able to come up with the board.
And that's where Marquette of a year ago would find an open shooter on the perimeter.
Ball will stay with St. John's after Hoppy was stripped. And keep an eye on that free throw disparity. St. John's attempted 13, Marquette attempted 2. Foul count was 9-4 in the first half. And usually coaches will get in the ear of the officials and be like, you know the foul count is 9-4, right?
To protect the name of an official earlier this year, one of them did come over and grab my stat sheet and look at how many fouls. Eyebrows raised from that official. Part of the reason I'm defending that official, I don't remember which one it is. I just know it happened.
And one for Marquette, Chloe Murata. And the foul going the other way this time.
Personal foul, number 41.
It's the second on Emma Nolan.
Really enjoying watching Murata play in this game. Her scoring 8 points, yeah, she averages 5. It's not like she doesn't score, but it's a major plus in a game that's being played at 34-32 early in the third.
Sophomore from Homestead High School. She started the first 13 games of the year, but has been replaced in conference play, largely by Anderson. Hits the free throw, and Marquette opens up a 35-32 lead. Tiana England back in for St. John's. Cavey with another vicious screen. Selena Lott still wincing. Cavey is everywhere. Lott is still wincing, coming up with the ball. And a foul away from the ball on Nolan. That's her third. She has been hit or miss today. Hit the 3 threes, but defensively and in terms of the foul count, it's been a rough go.
Had a nice block in the opening 2 minutes as well, and you're thinking, okay, this is going to be the day for Emma Nolan. Farley's going to come out, get another shot. Had a conversation with Coach Tartamella during the week. They want to see more consistency from her. It just hasn't been there yet.
Spingola way off with that 3, and Van Clunen chased it, but in vain. Turns over to St. John's.
And with Farley, of note, did not play at all against DePaul. A surprising DNP coach's decision on Friday night. So has a lot to prove in this game, and with Nolan struggling a little bit on the defensive end, this may be a chance for her to get real minutes.
Farley looks completely perplexed as to what's going on. She gets the ball in the post now against Van Clunen. Didn't have the angle, and Van Clunen hauls it in.
For where Farley shoots, being a 42% field goal shooter is a big problem. She is in the restricted area on almost every single one. No one clears space on this St. John's team like her.
Had 13 against Seton Hall, but the impact from the LSU transfer who became eligible in late December has been not what they had hoped. How about the fake from Jordan King?
Poor Leilani Correa. Totally bit. That is a beautiful move by King inside.
Flyby.
A 5 foot for the basket flyby.
That pass was intended for Correa. Cavey was out there. The St. John's offense still does not look in sync. They have 2 point guards in there.
You could argue it almost feels like 3 point guards. Correa can handle it. Alston can handle it.
Yeah. KB again rotates over perfectly for the stuff. 17 to shoot, though. Plenty of time for Marquette.
All right. This is a lineup I've wanted to see a little bit more of. You bring in Bailey, you bring out Correa, and Correa not the best offensive performance, and that's not why Bailey's in there. Bailey provides more size. Good matchup on Lott potentially.
KB defending Murata. King off the screen, well short. KB the rebound. England, floor still in transition, but she missed the window, and that one is loose. Selena Lott trying to get it ahead. It's picked off by Alston, and St. John's has numbers. Alston, the pull-up. No good. St. John's has struggled from 2 point range.
Scoreless for the opening 3 minutes and 45 seconds of the half.
It's been a grind. I mean, since those early threes, 12 points in the second quarter, and as you mentioned, 0 points in 4 minutes now in the third. Murata with the head fake. Repost. Big size advantage. She goes to the left and scores. Chloe Murata with 11.
If it's not going, speed the game up. Joe Tartamella's going to use a timeout, talk this over. It extends so he gets a full 2 minutes to figure this out with the team. But I'd like to see them create easy shots through the flow of the game better.
7 points in this.
St. John's University is New York, through and through. While our roots may be here in the city, our Catholic and Vincentian influence is felt around the globe. Diverse, determined, and dedicated, our students graduate career-ready and primed to take on the challenges of tomorrow. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
Hallelujah.
And this is just one night. You should see what we do during the day. Marquette University. Be the difference.
All right, we gotta be all in, all right? We gotta make sure we play with great passion. You have felt each other and helped each other and allowed yourselves to be helped with that, all right? We've got a great opportunity to do that today.
This is who we are.
When you look to your left and you see your sister over there, you help her. Because what we are one. Let's break it.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah!
That's the Big East Way. The 2020 Big East Women's Basketball Tournament at Wintrust Arena. Get tickets now.
The amount of student loan debt I have, I'm embarrassed to even say.
I felt like I was going to spend my whole adult life paying this off.
Thanks to SoFi, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
As of 12 p.m. today, I am debt-free.
We have no debt, we don't owe anybody anything, and it's fantastic.
Marquette, the first 7 points of this third quarter, inside the name of the game still.
Yeah, it should look familiar. 32 of 39 points. The Golden Eagles have come inside the paint. Some of them simple post to post, some of them getting the ball on a lob, entry pass, and making their way in, and a lot of them, even if it's not in transition, being able to get to the bucket with ease.
Sometimes I feel points in the paint is misleading because it's not really about interior defense, it's about cutting off a drive or a transition opportunity. But today, so many of those have been either post-ups or movement out of post-ups.
Yeah, and you and I were talking a little bit as this game has progressed about where do you go to try and get a better interior presence. I think they felt Raven Farley could help be that player at the end of December, and it just hasn't proven out that way. I mean, you know, Joe Tartamella said if we can get her really going, people don't know how much that changes the game for us. And that not only means converting easy offensive opportunities, which at times is lacked, but also providing that presence that they so desperately need. You think about years past, that has not been a problem. St. John's has had some really physical, defensive presence kind of 4s and 5s the last few years.
That's knocked away by Selena Lott. Tracks it down, goes to the basket, and one, count the bucket. I thought she walked, to be honest. But she was headed to the hoop, and
personal foul number 3, Gianna England.
She'll have a free throw to boot.
And the 13th foul in the quarter.
Well, and they're going to say that occurred before the shot, so...
Are we saying no basket?
No basket. Yeah, I'm with you here. If you're going to call that, I would call continuation at minimum.
All right, sorry, y'all. I am really perplexed as to how that was not called.
And then an offensive foul.
It's not National Marquette Day here. The refs didn't get the memo.
No, that is theoretically, you know, scientifically like a 2.8 point swing. And Lott in foul trouble. She comes out. Again, 15 minutes to go, and she's so often your go-to. Hasn't been today. 34 last time these teams met, only 2 today. But stat stuffing, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, and she's going to sit maybe for the remainder of the third.
I can't believe they didn't count that basket. Maybe they said she traveled after the foul.
Well, it's that ball don't lie. Then the offensive foul happens.
Alston off the handoff. Great movement to find Raven Farley. She converts, and it only took 4 minutes and 48 seconds. St. John's is on the board.
Yeah, no kidding. Started 0 for 8 from the field, and a turnover coming out of the timeout.
Narelle Lubo, freshman from Tabor Academy in Massachusetts, now running the point for Marquette. Claire Kafis in as well. This is Lubo. Brother plays at Virginia Tech. Beg your pardon, their dad played at Virginia Tech. The Lubo at Virginia Tech is a cousin. Kafis going inside.
Marquette basket, putting by number 30, Isabel Spingola.
And I take it back. That was Spingola's first 2 of the day.
All of her work's been inside the arc. I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. What is this?
Alston made Spingola miss, but she missed the floater, and Izzy Spingola the rebound. Lubo head up, was targeting Cameron Taylor inside, and in jockeying for position, KB was called for the foul. And that'll take us to a break here in the third quarter. Marquette has opened up a 7-point lead. It's the biggest separation either team has had. 39-34, Golden Eagles at the moment.
On Saturday, February 22nd, when the Red Storm.
St. John's University is New York, through and through. While our roots may be here in the city, our Catholic and Vincentian influence is felt around the globe. Diverse, determined, and dedicated, our students graduate career-ready and primed to take on the challenges of tomorrow. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
Hallelujah.
And this is just one night. You should see what we do during the day. Marquette University. Be the difference.
The amount of student loan debt I have, I'm embarrassed to even say.
I felt like I was going to spend my whole adult life paying this off.
Thanks to SoFi, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
As of 12 p.m. today, I am debt-free.
We have no debt, we don't owe anybody anything, and it's fantastic.
Stand up stronger. I got the power, gonna raise it up. So high, we're shining brighter. We got the power, gonna raise it up. We got the power, gonna raise it up. We're running ahead, and we got to raise it up.
We're all in, all together. Great voices right at the start, great energy. We're getting excited about what we do, all right? You know how together you are. You know how hard you're gonna work, but you also know how good you are. Let's go show them. 1, 2, 3.
Together!
This is our time.
When we bring it together and we all locked in, we coming back in this locker room with a victory.
That's the Big East Way. The 2020 Women's Basketball Tournament at Wintrust Arena. Get tickets now.
Well, the woman with the clipboard ought to be a familiar figure at Carnesecca Arena. Veronica Mullen spent years as the ops director for Joe Tartamella and St. John's, now serving in the same capacity for Megan Duffy, a former St. John's assistant at Marquette. So plenty of ties between the two programs, but desperate to beat each other today and gain some ground in the Big East standings. Marquette came in with a 1-game lead over St. John's and leads it by 7 now as we play in the third quarter. Worth mentioning that over in New Jersey, DePaul did finish off Seton Hall 86-76. And so the Blue Demons still with just the one conference loss at 12-1. Seton Hall drops to 8-5. So a St. John's win would make a 3-way tie, Marquette, Seton Hall, and St. John's. Potentially 4- or 5-way tie, depending on other results. But a Marquette win would elevate them up there with Butler just behind DePaul.
Gosh, the way it's stratified this year, really, I think it's 2 through 7, 8, 9, 10. But wild.
That is a 2 from Kapis. Her foot was on the line.
Marquette shooting 50%. St. John's is shooting 26%. They should feel gracious that they're still in this basketball game right now. It's been on the back of three-pointers and free throws that they've been able to hang in.
Wadasha Hoppy from outside can't get it loose. And again, a loose ball rebound is picked up by Marquette. I don't know what it is, but St. John's unable to secure several of these that have pinballed around.
That has been the story of their season. If you talk to Joe Tardamella, he's talking about loose balls. He's talking about rebounds that you make sure you hold on to them. It's key moments. It's random moments in the game. It's just been a Achilles heel. And Marquette has been no good rebounding team statistically either.
2 to shoot inside, blocked by Farley, and that forces the shot clock violation. Finally, some post defense for St. John.
By the way, Marquette, not a good rebounding team. They're the best rebounding team. 10th in the country, 1st in the Big East. So, no, they're not good. They're great, and St. John's can't give anything away when you know Marquette. They've got so much size at 1 through 4 that even if Farley's the biggest player on the floor, you're still giving up inches to everybody else.
And the rebounding edge, honestly, is not as bad as it could be, mostly due to the work of this woman, Alicia Caby, who's got 7. Caby will try the corner 3 and hit. Alicia Caby doubles her point total and gets St. John's to within 6.
Despite what you said there, Marquette +8. It doesn't really feel that lopsided in rebounds, but +8 makes a big difference.
Oh, it does. But again, given the expectations, as Van Clunen finishes one off, 8 is not that bad a deficit.
You're right. You are absolutely right.
Marquette is 57% rebounding team, leading the conference, and St. John's is 6th, less than 50%.
Yeah, -3.5 rebounds a game over the course of the year.
Oh, Farley was wide open. Correa didn't see her. Great play by Farley to keep it alive. And Tiana England scores. The credit Marquette, they've had Anderson and Lott in foul trouble. Still maintaining this lead 45-39 as we play late in the third. 3 fouls for both Anderson and Lott. Anderson has sat the entire quarter, picked up that 3rd foul just 10 seconds in. 6 to shoot. Kafis comes off the screen, in and out. And KB hauls in another rebound and gets fouled. It'll be the first on Cameron Taylor, I believe.
Number 15, Cameron Taylor. That is her first foul and the 13th foul in the quarter.
You know, the biggest surprise to me about Marquette isn't how many points they have in the paint or how effective they've been there. It's that Spingola, who is one of the best three-point shooters in this conference, it's not even that she hasn't made good shots. She has not gotten open. They have been very aware.
Farley was 1 for 1 in three-pointers on the year. She's now 1 for 2. It looks good, but final shot not going down for Hoppy there. Into the final minute of the third. Couple of offensive opportunities for St. John's here. Ooh, England with the hesitation, goes inside, draws the foul. Tiana England changing speeds to great effect.
And the timing on that, pretty much perfect, you would argue. Essentially creates the 2 for 1. Chance to maybe turn this from a 6-point deficit into potentially a 1-possession game by the end of this quarter. And
I know she wasn't thinking about it as a 2 for 1, but I like the way you're thinking about it.
If people in college basketball don't figure out the value of a 2 for 1, especially with the new offensive rebounding rules, where the shot clock goes to 20 instead, you're giving points away.
Just 1 of 2 at the free throw line for England to make it a 5-point game. So what we're talking about with the 2 for 1 is there's 46 seconds left, 30 on the shot clock. If Marquette races up and takes a shot quickly, they'll get 2 shots down the stretch, and St. John's would only get 1. It is especially effective when you get an and one like that. Izzy Spingola will go to the line.
All due respect, that's not the moment I'm thinking about running a press. If you can trap them in the backcourt and you take 8 seconds to get forward, then you look like a genius. But if you allow them to throw the ball up the floor with that much ease and lay it in, instead of getting a 2 for 1 yourself, you gave 1 to Marquette.
Handed it to them, too. Nobody within 20 feet of Spingola when she caught it, and she makes the free throw as well. No thought of using the shot clock. It's just run the offense. Correa, who has not gotten in a groove today. She's got 7. Nobody for St. John's is in double figures, and they turn it over to Boot and give Marquette 15 seconds in the last shot. And so Lott checks back in. They're not worried about her committing an offensive foul.
It was a 6-point game. England's at the line. If you get those two, get a stop and score another bucket, you're talking about one possession game. It's very possible Marquette goes down, makes a basket, and it's double digits going to the 4th. That is mind-blowingly different.
Lott doubled for a second, got away from it, feeds Cameron Taylor just in time, and it is a 10-point Marquette lead headed to the 4th quarter. What a turn of events. 5 quick ones, the 3-point play, and the layup you just saw, and Marquette turns a tight one into a 10-point contest headed to the 4th.
St. John's University is New York, through and through. While our roots may be here in the city, our Catholic and Vincentian influence is felt around the globe. Diverse, determined, and dedicated, our students graduate career-ready and primed to take on the challenges of tomorrow. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
Stand up stronger. I got the power, gonna raise it up. So high, we're shining brighter. We got the power, gonna raise it up. We got the power, gonna raise it up. We're running ahead, and we got to raise it up.
The amount of student loan debt I have, I'm embarrassed to even say.
I felt like I was going to spend my whole adult life paying this off.
Thanks to SoFi, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
As of 12 p.m. today, I am debt-free.
We have no debt, we don't owe anybody anything, and it's fantastic.
All right, we gotta be all in, all right? We gotta make sure we play with great passion. You have felt each other and helped each other and allowed yourselves to be helped with that, all right? We've got a great opportunity to do that today.
This is who we are.
When you look to your left and you see your sister over there, you help her. Because what we are one. Let's bring it.
1, 2, 3.
That's the Big East Way. The 2020 Big East Women's Basketball Tournament at Wintrust Arena. Get tickets now.
You're not going to want to miss this.
All right, we gotta be all in, all right? We gotta make sure we play with great passion. You have felt each other and helped each other and allowed yourselves to be helped with that, all right? We've got a great opportunity to do that today.
This is who we are.
When you look to your left and you see your sister over there, you help her. Because what we are one. Let's bring it.
1, 2, 3.
That's
Starting the 4th quarter at Carnesecca Arena in Queens, Marquette 50, St. John's 40. Separation we did not see until the last 2 minutes of that 3rd quarter. Went from a 5-point game to a 10-point game in the blink of an eye, and Marquette starts the 4th with the ball. Altia Anderson been in foul trouble, missed most of the 2nd and 3rd quarters, is back in. Izzy Spingola gets free, but it's too strong. Alyssa Alston the rebound for St. John's. Into the paint, looking for help, almost knocked away by Lott. Instead, Kwadasha Hoppe knocks it down. It's a long road back for St. John's, but they know from Friday that it can be done.
Yeah,
they were on the wrong end of that one.
Yeah, up 16, and DePaul, to be fair, was up by 20 and lost the previous weekend. So there have been a handful of big comebacks. St. John's has only led for 3.5 minutes in this game. They made it a lot more difficult by a very poor close to the third.
That's a turnover. Lott thought there was a lot of contact. She waits for her teammates to pick her up. Said, I'm not doing the heavy lifting here. She did the heavy lifting in the first game.
Yep.
Most points scored in a game by any player in the Big East this year. Lott limited to 2 points tonight. Has battled some foul trouble. Leilani Correa, she can get it going for St. John's. That's a tough shot, and it goes. 9 for Correa. She's trying to get back in defense, knocks it out of bounds. Both officials concur. It's St. John's ball just like that.
Good start. Long way to go, but a great start.
Where has that been for the first 3 quarters?
Fair question.
Correa with 9, Nolan with 9, all of those in the first quarter. The leading scorers for St. John's. 10 for Taylor, 10 for Anderson for Marquette. KB trying to feed Correa. It's knocked away, and a late call. But it's an offensive foul.
St. John's fouls on Alicia KB.
And it's the third on KB, who did foul out on Friday.
By the way, the first game between these teams finished with 179 points.
Yeah.
And St. John's led for, give or take, 25 minutes of that basketball game, starting with a 10-2 run. More?
Yeah, I think it was 30.
Yeah, I think the first lead that they had, Marquette, after that 2-0 deficit St. John's faced, was late in the third, and then it was a little bit of a seesaw for a while. But, I mean, this has been a just completely different game, but much more to maybe what we expected coming in.
And again, St. John's struggling to come up with a rebound cleanly. They had to stop. 10 to shoot for Marquette. They'll say that never hit the rim. I remember following that game and seeing the halftime score and be like, all right, St. John's at Marquette. That would be impressive.
Yeah.
And then turned around in a big way.
You know, Marquette, that was the beginning of a 5-game win streak.
It was only snapped on Friday at Seton Hall.
And, you know, we maybe forget that St. John's got blown out by Marquette at the Big East tournament, 88-57 last year. So, I mean, the way the last 3 games between these two teams have gone, totally different each time.
Marquette has won 5 of the last 6 meetings, even though Joe Tardamella has a winning record against Marquette all time. Alston climbed highest amongst 2 trees, but the second one scooped up by Lott. And Spingola draws the foul. That was perfect execution from Marquette.
Certainly was. Saw a lot of that in the first meeting, the ability to get up the floor that quick.
At the line is number 30, Isabel Spingola.
And for Nolan, pick up her 4th personal that way. Where the angle was going to be really tough for Spingola, who's at the line very frequently.
We were noticing this before the game. She's only taken 2 free throws all year.
I think she had 12 last year and 11 the year before, something like that.
She's 3 for 3 tonight, so she's multiplied it by 150%.
But, you know, I think what should be mentioned about Marquette, and good for Coach Carolyn Keeger moving on to Penn State, deserves that opportunity. Free throws again coming, but they were 3 points away from being far and away the best team in Marquette history, and instead they kind of got left at the altar a little bit in that they lost the Big East final, and they lost in the round of 32 in the NCAAs by a combined 3 points. For them to come back this year and be this good in the Big East is a big mark, really impressive.
Only brought back 6 players. We told you about some of the big names that left. I left out Amani Wilborn, Erica Davenport, Alizea Blockton, Sandra Dolling, Danielle King, Natasha Heidemann, all part of that class. 9-point lead with the ball at the moment. Nolan staying in with the 4 fouls. See if they go after her. I mean, they've been going after the post all game, so why not? 2-pointers. Her foot was on the line, and she sinks it. Spingola heating up here in the second half. She's got 9.
Well, now they're starting to find her so often. They dribble penetrated. She rotated along the arc, and nobody even looked for her.
Personal foul number 23, Jordan King. That is her
Third foul against Jordan King. Nobody from Marquette with 4 just yet, though.
How amazing is that? The foul disparity as it is, but St. John's with KB with 3 and Nolan with 4.
Spingola scoreless in the first half. 9 here in the second for Marquette, as they have taken control. Their largest lead right now, 11 points. Nolan had it poked away by Lott. She hasn't had the points tonight, but you're right, Mike. She has done a whole lot of other things to contribute. Nolan fouls out, and Spingola will be at the free throw line for more.
And, say this about Lott, she's taken 1 field goal attempt. She has forced nothing, which, when you savaged a team a month ago, to have that kind of self-control to just play within the game is impressive. Farley is going to need to be not good but great for St. John's to have a chance with Nolan fouling out at this point. Anything less isn't going to get it done.
Air of resignation about the St. John's bench right now.
And, I mean, this thing is spun a little bit. You don't want to say out of control. They came into the weekend having won 4 of 5, but now you look at it and you go, oh, we've lost 3 of 4. I mean, that is a big change in a short amount of time, momentum-wise.
I mean, these are 2 games you don't obviously chalk up as wins. It's one of your most difficult weekends of the season, but the way both games have gone is going to leave a really bitter taste.
Yeah, you were 8-1 at home coming into this weekend. You went 6-3 in the first half of Big East play. And at this point, you're looking at your 3rd loss in the second half, and you still have a handful of games to go. You got swept by DePaul, Marquette, and Villanova. I mean, yeah, this is going to be a pretty big shock to the system.
And on the other side for Marquette, this is the rebound you needed. Now we've won 6 out of 7 to take down St. John's away is a big bounce back. It's not over yet.
Nope.
But they're confident, up 11. 5.5 to play in the fourth. KB threw it and hit England right in the leg. She wasn't expecting it, was making another cut. And it's a very unforced turnover. Alston arriving late, charged for the foul. And we've seen Marquette get to the line more here after they were only taking 2 free throws in the first half. This will be free throw number 9 for the game, with another to follow.
9 for 9, and they are 67.5% this year at the free throw line, 7th in the Big East.
St. John's has left 5 free throws on the board as well.
And that's normal to go 12 of 17. I don't feel like you lost points, but Marquette certainly gained them. I mean, on average, that's 3 or 4 points. In this, that makes it a one single-digit game, far from one possession.
Marquette next weekend at home against Xavier and Butler. Butler's having a heck of a campaign right now. That Sunday game could be critical for seeding.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how big the difference between 2 and 3 is, but your quarterfinal could be pretty different.
You would love to see one of those teams currently entering the weekend on 1 win in the quarterfinal. You'd love it.
On the run, what a cut. Altia Anderson end to end. She's got 14, and St. John's needs a timeout and needs a miracle. Marquette exploding in the second half, up 15 with 4.5 to go, trying to close out the weekend with a dub.
Big East rival Seton Hall at 2 p.m. as part of Women in Sports Day. For more
St. John's University is New York, through and through. While our roots may be here in the city, our Catholic and Vincentian influence is felt around the globe. Diverse, determined, and dedicated, our students graduate career-ready and primed to take on the challenges of tomorrow. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
Hallelujah.
And this is just one night. You should see what we do during the day. Marquette University. Be the difference.
All right, we gotta be all in, all right? We gotta make sure we play with great passion. You have felt each other and helped each other and allowed yourselves to be helped with that, all right? We've got a great opportunity to do that today.
This is who we are.
When you look to your left and you see your sister over there, you help her. Because what we are one. Let's bring it.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah!
That's the Big East Way. The 2020 Big East Women's Basketball Tournament at Wintrust Arena. Get tickets now.
The amount of student loan debt I have, I'm embarrassed to even say.
I felt like I was going to spend my whole adult life paying this off.
Thanks to SoFi, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
As of 12 p.m. today, I am debt-free.
We have no debt, we don't owe anybody anything, and it's fantastic.
You're not going to want to miss this.
Marquette has opened up a game that was tied at halftime. Now 62-47 Golden Eagles midway through this fourth quarter. Marquette trying to go to 9-4, a mark which would contend with Butler. The Bulldogs in action against Villanova later today. Butler at 8-3, Marquette 8-4, trying to go to 9-4, up 15 late. And what could turn out to be a very positive performance for Marquette. It is so far, and a very disheartening one for St. John's. Dasha Hoppe has been held in check, 7 points. And that foul is called on the floor. It is the fourth on Altia Anderson.
And we talk about, oh, Watt only has 2 points, but she's taken 1 field goal attempt. Well, we're talking about Hoppe on 7. She's taken 12 shots and not hit a 3 yet. And that's the game changer for St. John's. She's only taken 2 threes, but I mean, that's where this thing really pops.
So they haven't been able to get her into any real good catch and shoot looks.
No.
It's been a lot of having to create.
She's left some points on the table. I think she would admit that. You know, that could have been a dagger.
But the offensive rebound anyway.
Feels like another one.
Twice in a row, a long rebound from a 3, and who's first to it? Yeah. Marquette. And there is Lott getting inside, and Marquette pushing the lead.
You know, the number that stands out to me, the more I look at our box score that we get in between breaks, 3 fast break points this entire game by St. John's. It was 23 when they were in Milwaukee. You know, they've been held to 8 by Georgetown in a game that they won handily. St. John's 71 points in that game, but you know, there's very few games this year where you see single-digit fast break points in a game.
And they're not a bad free throw shooting team, but your advantage in getting to the line is somewhat negated when Marquette goes 10 for 10. And St. John's is now 13 of 18. You're only plus 3 points at the free throw line.
Right, just because they've committed 5 more fouls, and I think it was maybe a little ticky-tack in the second quarter.
And you've kept Anderson and Lott off the floor, which just makes the Marquette performance that much more impressive for all the others who have contributed. Murata with 12. Spingola with 11, all in the second half. They've held Van Clunen to 6.
It's worth noting St. John's was held 9 fast break points against Creighton, won. 8 against Georgetown, won that game. Now, they held DePaul in single-digit fast break points in the first meeting in Chicago and lost. I mean, it's not the end-all, be-all, but it is a very telling commentary on this game.
You think it's sustainable to build a team that's not going to take threes like this?
We've seen it before with St. John's, even going back to that 2016 season, but you're not talking about a bunch of interchangeable parts that work really well, work really hard like Marquette. You're talking about Grant and Hanford and Lewis, a triumvirate nearly unparalleled in St. John's history in the Joe Tardamella era. Certainly, I think, in the Joe Tardamella era, maybe even beyond that.
But I mean, Marquette, 23.5% of their shots are threes. That is a low number in today's basketball. Is that what Megan Duffy wants to do year after year? Or do you think the three-point shooters are coming?
Yeah, we're going to find out, aren't we? I mean, it kind of comes with how they end up recruiting in the next few years, because there really isn't a dossier on Duffy yet. I mean, what you know is what...
You don't have one?
Not yet.
In your lair?
We know what they've done this year after losing more than half of their scoring year over year from a team that was built to shoot threes. More than half of the rotation that sees consistent minutes have less than 10 three attempts this year. I mean, that's the story. And so we're going to find out, is she a chameleon or is this just what she wants?
Tiana England thought that might have come off Marquette last. It'll stay with the Golden Eagles, 16 to shoot.
But this is a taste of what St. John's did 3 years ago, running through the league. I mean, they averaged, what, 2.5 threes a game? Makes? Seems almost unthinkable in this era of college basketball, and yet here Marquette is with about to be a 9-4 record in the conference doing the same thing.
Shot clock violation. St. John's is getting a series of stops here, but they've only been able to make up 4 points to make it a 13-point game.
Number 21, Wadasha Hoppy.
Hoppy, Correa, England, Alston, and KB. So it's 5 guards on the floor.
Yeah. That second quarter was such a big moment. Marquette slowed down. Really, it's their only quarter so far, under 50% from the field, and St. John's drew 12-12. They could have had a shot there.
That makes it a 10-point game with 2 minutes left, and St. John's with the 5 guards picking up the pressure. And Megan Duffy takes a timeout for Marquette. Worried they might not be able to get it in against that pressure.
It will be a 30-second timeout. Come on, y'all. Check it out, y'all. How low can you go? Can you go down low?
So a 10-point game at the moment. Marquette trying to finish this off, and as Mike said, get to 9-4. St. John's in danger of dropping to 7-6, and taking on Creighton next week, which has been giving everybody fits. The big Seton Hall game on the 22nd. You know the Pirates will be looking for revenge. Providence a winnable game, and then Butler on the 28th.
Yeah, close with that road trip to the Midwest. Realistically, if you're St. John's, all those games are against teams within arm's reach.
I mean, yeah, we've seen it. Any game is winnable, but we haven't seen the consistency from this group, in especially in crunch time.
Yeah, and I think going forward, the Big East can really kill you when you play Friday, Sunday. You're dispirited. Then you got to play again a day later, and I think that has a habit of carrying over.
Ooh. Marquette got it across the timeline now. 20 seconds to play with on the shot clock. Alston called for the foul and will send Jordan King to the free throw line. Or will she yet?
Yep, that's team fifth. But you know, it also gives you 5 days to get your head right. And St. John's is going to need to get their head right before they take to the road. That game against Creighton will be on FS2 on Friday night. So big national spotlight on what could be their turnaround.
King is a 63% shooter. Marquette at the free throw line, 68.5% as a team, 11 for 11. They're going to go see Aladdin the night before every game now.
Is that why?
I don't know if that's why, but it's gonna be a happy memory with a win on the back of it. That's Broadway Aladdin, not the old
Will Smith,
not the old or new movie.
Will Smith was pretty good in that movie. Yeah, I said it.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I've
kids. You have kids. Why am I the one who's seen it?
I have kids under 5. They don't watch. They're not allowed to watch TV or movies.
If you fly often enough, there's not one movie in the library you haven't seen yet.
A 12-point game as Alyssa Alston steps to the free throw line. Out of New Haven. Cool moment for her today to get career point number 1,000.
And how she did it. Everyone dreams of getting it.
At the free throw line.
Correct.
13 points Friday, and free throw line letting her down here in the final 2 minutes.
Thank God she made the 2 to start her. This could have been a long, long afternoon.
Anderson fouled by Hoppy.
The foul's on number 21, Wadasha Hoppy. That is her 3rd foul.
It's just Marquette's perfect at the line.
Right.
Like you're trying to exchange, you know, 1 miss or 2 misses for a 2 or 3, and
you go 0 for 2. And
this is backfiring. Whoa! Here we are.
There's a miss. Altia Anderson, 14 points to lead all scorers today.
56% this year at the line.
St. John's foul is on Alicia Cavey. That'll be her 4th foul.
All right, let's do it again. But that's the player you want to foul. Someone who just missed 2 in a row. I do wonder how long Anderson is for this game, just because you don't want it to get in their head.
I do wonder how long they're going to keep fouling. It's a 12-point game with 1:13.
This is fair.
Thank you. Get off my lawn.
There should be a new XFL style rule about when you're allowed to foul.
The Elam ending.
Mm-hmm.
13-point Marquette lead. Anderson with 15 points now. At least take threes. There you go. Another long rebound secured by Marquette. You know there's studies that show you where the rebounds of three-pointers are likely to go. And Marquette, that rebounding has continued today, and maybe the foul game is done for the day. Selena Lott with it now. She'll take the W. 7 rebounds, 8 assists for her. Everybody waiting for the whistle, and then we'll go St. John's way with 33.8 to go.
Should they try? Never mind. You know where I'm going. Well, I mean, for Marquette, this is a statement. Coming off the loss to Seton Hall, St. John's was a team that coming into the weekend right on their tail had a chance to overturn the tiebreaker. This essentially eliminates St. John's from any chance at a top 2 seed. I don't think that was really likely coming in, but it's almost impossible now
you
losing
just
the tiebreaker.
want to end up as Alston steals and scores. you just want to end up on the side that doesn't have DePaul. You want to be 2, 3, 6, or 7.
And, you know, everyone I talked to who's at the game on Friday night goes, if I'm DePaul, I don't want to try and beat St. John's 3 times. That's like the mythical thing in basketball, to beat a team 3 times in a row.
But when you're better than they are?
When you're number 14 in the country, you want to hold that as far away as possible, as many teams get their crack. And what's more, at this point, if you're St. John's, forget which side of the bracket you're on.
You just want to be playing well.
You don't want to be in the first round.
Oh,
don't play opening night and get to the quarterfinal unscathed. That's now your mission.
The fouls on number 30.
There are no home games. The difference between 4 and 6 is almost nominal.
At the line for St. John's is number 21, Wadasha Happy. Now in for Marquette, number 1, Narelle Lubo.
What a performance by Marquette. 32-32 at halftime. The Golden Eagles completely dominate the second half. They pull away late in the third and lock it up in the fourth. 6 out of 7 in the win column for Marquette on Marquette Day. And the final this afternoon, Marquette 67, St. John's 57. From Carnesecca Arena, we'll take a break, come back with our player of the game in person. 67-57, Marquette, the final.
St. John's University is New York, through and through. While our roots may be here in the city, our Catholic and Vincentian influence is felt around the globe. Diverse, determined, and dedicated, our students graduate career-ready and primed to take on the challenges of tomorrow. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
Hallelujah.
And this is just one night. You should see what we do during the day. Marquette University. Be the difference.
All right, we gotta be all in, all right? We gotta make sure we play with great passion. You have felt each other and helped each other and allowed yourselves to be helped with that, all right? We've got a great opportunity to do that today.
This is who we are.
When you look to your left and you see your sister over there, you help her. Because what we are one. Let's bring it.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah!
That's the Big East Way. The 2020 Big East Women's Basketball Tournament at Wintrust Arena. Get tickets now.
Back in Queens with Marquette senior Altia Anderson, leading scorer, 15 points today. Congratulations on the win. What was the difference in that second half for you?
For me, I mean, we just had to come together as a team and start playing more as a unit. We had a lot of individuals in the first, and we weren't, executing on defense or offense. So that's what we had to focus on.
You had some foul trouble today, some time you had to sit out. How frustrating was that to be watching from the sideline at big parts in the game?
I mean, fouling is pretty frustrating. Having to sit because of it is frustrating. But, I know the next man's up. My team's got my back. I got their back. So I know if I sit down, someone else is going to step up. So
you got the win coming off a loss on Friday, and so it has to be frustrating. How did you guys recover so quickly as we take a look at some of the best action today?
We recovered quickly. Just after that game, we had to look ourselves in the mirror. We had to ask ourselves who we wanted to be and who we are. We just came together as a team, had a team meeting, discussed some things that went wrong and what went right, and then Coach Duffy gave us the rundown of we got to be better. We got to show up every day, and nothing's going to be easy. And every time we step on the court, it's going to be a dogfight.
This year for you, obviously, it's a new coach. Only 6 players coming back. You're starting this year. What's been the biggest difference for you out of all those many differences you've had to deal with?
I don't know. I'm not really sure.
It was a good question. It was a good question.
Yeah, that was a really good question. But difference, I can't put a finger on it. I don't know.
You've been a career player who's come off the bench and had to make an impact that way. Is starting different at all? Do you feel, and how?
Yeah, starting is very different. I mean, it's a different role. You got to come out ready. You don't get time to analyze the game from the bench to see what they're doing. You got to adjust on the fly. And then, in my previous years, I would be the one on the bench talking to, my teammates on the floor like, hey, they're doing this now, and it's the other way around. So.
Awesome. Altia Anderson, 15 points today in the Marquette win. Thanks for your time. Congratulations.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Marquette with the win. They have won 6 out of 7, climbing the Big East standings. The final today, Marquette 67, St. John's 57. From Mike Watts and our entire crew in Queens, I'm Jonathan Yardley. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Marquette with the win on Marquette Day. They win it by 10, and they're heading home with a W.